It's 9:47 p.m. 3 days until payday. You're lying in bed, phone in your hand. You open your banking app. Again, fourth time today. Not because anything changed, because maybe, just maybe, the number will somehow look different. It doesn't. $212. You stare at it. You already know the math. Rent is gone. The car payment hits Thursday. Groceries still need buying. Gas isn't getting cheaper. You do the numbers anyway. Same answer. Not enough. You lock your phone, set it on the nightstand, close your eyes, but your brain doesn't. Because the problem isn't the number, it's what the number represents. Another month, another countdown, another paycheck that's already spent before it even arrives. If that feels familiar, you're not alone. And here's the part nobody says out loud. You're probably not bad with money. You pay your bills. You go to work. You show up. You keep your promises. You've done everything people told you to do. Study hard. Get a stable job. Work longer. Earn more. Save what you can. So why does it still feel like you're running on a treadmill, working hard, but never getting anywhere? Here's why, and it has almost nothing to do with coffee or Netflix or avocado toast. That's the advice you hear all the time. Cut back. Spend less. Make a budget. Maybe you tried. Maybe you canceled subscriptions. Maybe you packed lunch every day. Maybe you even stuck with it for a while. Then life happened. The car needed repairs. Insurance went up. Your electricity bill surprised you. A birthday came around. Christmas arrived. Something always did. And suddenly, you were right back where you started. Not because you failed, because you were trying to solve the wrong problem. Here's the shift. Living paycheck to paycheck usually isn't a spending problem. It's a structure problem. And once you see the structure, everything starts making sense. Think about your next paycheck. Before it even reaches your account, it's already spoken for. Rent already claimed its share. Your mortgage did too. The car payment is waiting, utilities are waiting, insurance is waiting, the credit card minimum is waiting. By the time your salary arrives, it isn't really new money. It's old obligations. You're not deciding what to do with your paycheck. You're simply paying bills that were already standing in line. That one idea changes everything. Because if every dollar already has a job, then earning a little more doesn't automatically make life easier. The new money quickly finds new jobs, a nicer car, a slightly bigger mortgage, a vacation on the credit card, a streaming service here, a subscription there. Without realizing it, your income grows, but so do the obligations waiting for it. That's why so many people say, I make more than I ever have. But somehow I'm still broke. It's not because they're irresponsible. It's because the system never changed, only the numbers did. And here's something that might surprise you. There are families earning well into six figures who still live paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough, because cash flow is different from income. Income tells you how much money comes in. Cash flow tells you whether any of it actually stays. Those are two very different things. And once you understand that, you stop asking, how can I earn more? And you start asking a much better question. How do I stop every paycheck from disappearing? Because that's the question that actually changes your life. And the answer is probably much simpler than you think. Let's make it real. Imagine two people. Both are 47. Both work in HR. Both earn about $78,000 a year. They live in the same city, drive similar cars, pay similar rent. On paper, their lives look almost identical, but every Sunday night, their reality couldn't be more different. The first person checks their banking app. They hold their breath. They hope nothing unexpected has come out. Every notification feels like bad news. Every bill feels like another step backward. By payday, they're counting dollars. The second person also checks their banking app, but there's no panic, no knot in their stomach, no mental math. Not because they're richer, not because they're smarter, and not because they won the lottery. The difference is surprisingly small. One person is living one paycheck behind, the other is living one paycheck ahead. That's it. Just a few weeks, just one layer of breathing room, and yet it completely changes how money feels. Think about standing in the ocean. The waves keep coming, one after another. Some are small, some hit harder than you expected. A car repair, a higher utility bill, a school expense, a medical bill. Now imagine you're standing in deep water. Every wave knocks you off balance. You barely recover before the next one arrives. That's what living paycheck to paycheck feels like. Now imagine taking just a few steps back. The ocean hasn't changed. The waves are still there. Life is still expensive. Bills still exist, but the water is shallower. Those same waves don't knock you over anymore. That's what a financial buffer does. It doesn't stop life from happening. It changes where you're standing when life happens, and that's a huge difference. Here's where most people get stuck. They think the answer is earning more. Sometimes it is, but often it's not. Imagine someone gives you a $10,000 raise tomorrow. Sounds amazing, but what usually happens? A nicer apartment, a newer car, more dinners out, a few extra subscriptions, maybe a bigger vacation. None of those decisions feel unreasonable. In fact, each one feels deserved. Until 6 months later, your bigger paycheck disappears just as quickly as the old one. There's a name for that: lifestyle creep. But here's the interesting part. Lifestyle creep isn't really about spending. It's about giving every new dollar a new job. Without realizing it, you rebuilt the exact same system, just with bigger numbers. So don't ask yourself, how much more do I need to earn? Ask yourself, if my income went up tomorrow, would my stress actually go down? For a lot of people, the honest answer is no. Because stress doesn't come from the size of your paycheck. It comes from the distance between your paycheck and your next obligation. That's a completely different problem, and it needs a completely different solution. Here's the good news. You don't need to become wealthy before you feel financially secure. Most people think security comes after wealth. In reality, security comes before wealth. Because once you stop spending every dollar that arrives, something powerful happens. Your money starts working on your timeline instead of your bills. And that's the moment everything begins to change. So how do you build that kind of breathing room? Not over 10 years, not someday. Over the next 90 days. The answer is simpler than you think. It happens in 3 phases, and each phase builds on the one before it. Let's start with the first one, because almost everyone skips it. Phase 1. Find the leak, the first 30 days. This isn't about cutting everything you enjoy. It's about finding what's quietly draining your money. Because here's the truth, most people don't have one big spending problem. They have 20 small ones. On their own, they don't look dangerous. A streaming service, a forgotten app subscription, food delivery after a long day, an extra coffee, a few impulse buys online. Nothing feels expensive, but together, they're like tiny holes in a bucket. One hole won't empty it. 20 eventually will. Here's the mistake most people make. They try to fix the leak before they know where it is. Imagine calling a plumber without knowing which pipe is leaking. You'd just be guessing. That's exactly what most budgets do. They guess. Instead, be a detective. For the next 2 weeks, don't try to change anything. Just watch. Track every dollar. Not to judge yourself, to understand yourself. Ask one simple question every time money leaves your account. Did this make my life better? Sometimes the answer is yes. Great, keep it. Sometimes the answer is no. That's your leak. You don't need to become perfect. You just need to become aware. Because awareness changes behavior faster than guilt ever will. And once you know where the leaks are, you're ready for phase 2. This is where everything starts to feel different. Phase 2. Build the buffer. Most financial advice tells you to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. That's a great goal, but for someone living paycheck to paycheck, it feels impossible. Imagine telling someone who's never run before to complete a marathon next month. They wouldn't feel motivated. they'd feel defeated. So we're not chasing 6 months. Not yet. We're chasing 1 week. Just one. That's your first milestone. 1 week's worth of expenses, untouched. Not for shopping, not for holidays, not for I'll pay it back later. This money has one job, to create breathing room, and breathing room changes everything. Imagine payday arrives on Friday. Bills, rent, groceries, debt. By Monday, most of it's gone. Now imagine you already have 1 week of expenses waiting. Suddenly, that Friday paycheck doesn't feel so fragile. A small emergency doesn't become a financial crisis. A delayed payment doesn't ruin your month. An unexpected bill doesn't immediately send you reaching for your credit card. Nothing about your income changed, but everything about your stress did. That's the power of a buffer. It doesn't make you richer overnight. It makes you steadier. And steady people make better financial decisions because fear is expensive. When we're stressed, we react. We use credit cards, we borrow, we panic. We make short-term decisions that create long-term problems. A buffer gives you something incredibly valuable: time. Time to think, time to choose, time to respond instead of react. That's why this phase matters so much. It's not really about the money, it's about giving yourself options, and options create freedom. Which brings us to the final phase, the one that actually breaks the cycle. Phase 3. Break the cycle. This is where most people think something dramatic happens. It doesn't. There's no magical paycheck, no lottery ticket, no surprise inheritance. The change is much quieter than that, but it's far more powerful. Your 1 week buffer becomes 2, then 3, then eventually 1 full month. And that's when something shifts. You stop using this month's paycheck to pay this month's bills. Instead, you're using last month's money. Think about that for a second. You're no longer racing your paycheck is waiting for you. That single shift changes your entire relationship with money. Your bills don't feel like emergencies anymore. They're simply scheduled. Your paycheck doesn't arrive as a rescue mission. It arrives as part of a plan. For the first time, you're ahead. Not by a fortune, just by time. And time is one of the most valuable forms of wealth. Because once you have time, you stop making desperate decisions. You stop living in survival mode. You stop feeling like every month is a race you might lose. You're finally running your money instead of your money running you. Will 90 days make you wealthy? Probably not, but that's never been the goal. The goal is something much more important: to stop feeling anxious every time your phone buzzes, to stop wondering if your card will go through, to stop treating payday like a rescue, and start treating it like progress. Because real financial freedom doesn't begin with a bigger paycheck. It begins with a better system. And once your system changes, everything built on top of it becomes stronger. Now, let me introduce you to someone who lived exactly this story. Her name is Maya, and if you're over 40, you might see a little of yourself in her. 3 streaming services, a gym membership she hadn't used in over a year, food delivery that had quietly become a habit, little purchases that felt harmless on their own, but expensive together. By the end of the month, she had found about $340, not through sacrifice, through awareness. Then came phase 2, building her buffer. Slowly, patiently. Some weeks she saved $50. Some weeks, nothing at all. Life still happened. Unexpected bills, family expenses, car repairs. Progress wasn't perfect, but it was progress. About 10 weeks later, she had her first full week of expenses sitting untouched. For the first time in years, she could breathe. Then she kept going. 1 week became 2. 2 became 3. Eventually, she reached 1 full month. And that's when something interesting happened. Her bank balance didn't just look different, she felt different. She stopped opening her banking app with fear. She stopped hoping payday would hurry up. She stopped treating every unexpected expense like a disaster. Nothing about her job changed. Nothing about the economy changed. The system changed. And once the system changed, everything else became easier. That's the real goal. Not becoming rich in 90 days, Not retiring next year, not pretending money problems disappear overnight. The goal is peace of mind. It's opening your banking app without feeling your stomach tighten. It's sleeping without wondering whether your card will be declined tomorrow. It's knowing one unexpected bill won't undo months of hard work. That's what financial security actually feels like. And here's the part I hope you remember. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't a sign that you failed. Most of the time, it's a sign that your money has been trapped inside a system that was never designed to give you breathing room. The good news? Systems can be rebuilt, one step at a time. So the next time you look at your bank balance, don't ask, why don't I have more money? Ask a better question. Where is my money going before I even get to use it? That question is where change begins. Your decisions become calmer, and your future becomes clearer. Now, I have one question for you. If your next paycheck were delayed by just 1 week, would you be okay? Be honest. No one here is judging you. In fact, your answer tells you exactly where you're starting. Share it in the comments. I'd genuinely like to know. And if today's video helped you see money a little differently, consider subscribing. I'll see you there.